What's up, guys? How you guys doing? I hope everyone's doing great. What are we doing today? My brain is not booting. Okay, today we're talking about transcripts, right? We're going to start with talking about what exactly a transcript is. And as most of you know, a transcript is just a record or a document that records your academic performance over the years. And usually, depending on your school, depending on your country, depending on several factors, your transcript can look different in terms of what grades they choose to put there for that year. Well, in other cases, which was how mine was made, is that you have like each year a set of grades that represents the person's performance for that year. So in that case, maybe for the 3 terms, they would kind of take an average and put a set of grades for that school year. Or you could also have a case where, like, for example, in Nigeria, where I'm from, we have like at the end of the 3rd term of that school year, you have a final exam, and so they could put that final exam grade as your grade for that year. Or, like I said, do an average of all 3 terms and put that there. So it just depends on like your school system, on like different things. I should also mention that people often wonder whether or not to include their junior high school or like junior secondary school grades on their transcript. I would say the most important thing would be your senior high school years, because a lot of times when I've seen people apply, including myself, they don't really use their junior high school year grades, and the schools often do not require those either. However, if your school gives you a transcript that includes your junior high school performance, I mean, it's good. It kind of helps to show, it kind of shows your track record, especially if you're looking to apply for like a scholarship and stuff. It kind of shows like, oh, you've been doing well from the beginning. If your grades are excellent right from then up until your senior high school. So you might be wondering, how do you get your transcript? A lot of times, some people might get their transcript like when they're graduating from school. So right during the end of their like education, the high school education, the school automatically just gives them a transcript. So in that case, you just probably have to make copies of it, except a school you're applying to request like a fresh copy or whatnot from your school directly. But oftentimes you can just have the one that you get from the beginning and just kind of make copies, certified copies of that, and apply to schools with it. Or if you don't get it when you graduate, you can request it when you need it. So you can always go back to your high school and request a transcript. Meanwhile, I should definitely say that certain countries do not really have, like, the education system doesn't really like have the need for for transcripts. So like compared to the States and a lot of like Western countries where they kind of really take the records seriously, and it's like, we need your high school records and all the schools keep it and things like that, then there it's easier to kind of get what you need. However, like I said, other countries do not really emphasize the need for your academic records, and so a lot of schools do not provide transcript. They don't even keep your records enough to provide you a transcript. For example, in Nigeria, a lot of schools provide transcripts, but it's not something that you're often required to go to college. Like, if you're going to college, there's like other college entrance exams that you have to pass to go to college. They don't really care about your transcript. They mostly only care about the high school leaving exams that you have to pass, and that's the main thing that really determines whether you get into college or not. So in that case, a lot of times in countries like this, it might be hard to obtain your transcript at your school if it's not something that they've always done. I've had people message me sometimes where they say that they are not able to go back to the school because the school doesn't offer transcripts, or the school did not keep their records, and they didn't keep their records either because there's just no need for it in that education system. So what do you do when you find yourself in that situation? My suggestion, which I have offered to people in the past, is to go to your school and kind of explain to them, because guess what, you might be the one to change the situation now, whereby they will start offering transcript after you. But yeah, you can go to them and explain your situation, and if they're willing, you can sit down with like the school administrator or whoever is in charge of making documents, things like that. Try to see if they can kind of draft up your transcripts. You know, they might be able to compromise with you and try to make one for you, even though they've never done that before. One of the things that could help in that kind of situation is if you have some of your records from high school, like your report card. So let's say you have one report card from like your 10th grade, another one from your 12th grade, another one from like your 9th grade, you know, something from like way back. They may be able to come up with something to make your transcript, because at the end of the day, if your school is not one that issues transcript, like how else are you going to do it? Another option would be to email your school, email the school you're applying to, and tell them like, oh, I only have my school leaving certificate, like the transcript from my high school leaving exam. Can I use that in place of my track record from the years, because my school does not offer transcripts, and so there's no way for me to get anything. It might not be as good as having a record, but if they know your situation, then I think that they would judge your situation fairly and not let that affect you. Oh, by the way, I'll still show you guys my transcript after explaining these things. I just wanted to kind of give this general overview of things before I show you my transcript. Another thing that people often ask is, what if I switch schools over the years? So like they change schools over the years and now they can't just go to one school to request a transcript. What do you do in that case? What I usually suggest in this case is you gotta go back to those schools, right? You have to go back to those schools if you want authentic stuff and ask them for your transcript for those years that you were in the school. But if they're not able to produce your records for whatever reason, I would recommend in that case to just, whatever high school you are at the moment or the one that you're graduating from, just get whatever you can get from there, and in addition to that, obtain your high school leaving exam result and just put everything together and use that as your transcript. Because like I said, if you don't have it, like what are you supposed to do? People tend to underestimate what you can get from actually emailing your school for a lot of things. These people are human, like they understand the way that different school systems are, so they're not going to like be so rigid about everything. I've talked about this before in the past, like when I applied to Berea College, for example, my IELTS result was over 2 years old. It was just 2 years and a couple of months, but I didn't have enough time to go take another exam and everything. And I emailed them and I said, yo, my IELTS is so years old and this is what I have. Can I use it to apply? Officially, I wouldn't be allowed to, but because I told them what was happening, they said it was okay to apply with my result. So don't underestimate the importance of like emailing, communicating with the school, or calling them. I think that the reason why people tend to underestimate it is because a lot of people come from maybe systems where those kind of things are not really functional, or it's like really rigid, and it's like you can't communicate with the school and things like that, and so they think it's like that everywhere, but it's really not. If you reach out to your school, they more than likely will reason with your situation and allow you to submit whatever you have and judge your situation fairly as well. So, but obviously, you know, if you can get your transcripts, definitely get it, because it really helps with the application process. Okay, let's just get to the part of me showing you my transcript. I blotted out like my information, like my grades and stuff, because obviously I prefer to keep that private. I'll also show you like some other samples from the internet, so that mine isn't like the only standard for what you're looking for. You kind of have other ones out there, and then you kind of go from there. So for mine, first thing that you definitely have to have on your transcript is the header. You definitely should have the school header because it shows that it was issued by the school, of course. Then you have the date and any other information that they might want to add there. You can have the greetings, and then you have the title, which says that it's a transcript, of course. And then you just have an introductory message here that says, find below the cumulative academic performance of Esther, who was admitted in 2010. She completed her exam, that's the high school leaving exam, this year, and blah 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 blah. Okay, and then here it shows the senior secondary school cumulative results. So first of all, I would say that you can have this like what we have here, and then also have the junior secondary school one before that. So it just, I mean, if you get it, why not? There's never too much records. So yeah, you see here you have the subject, and then you have each grade grade 10, 11, 12, which is also SS1, SS2, and SS3 for the Nigerian education system. And then it puts the years, the school years right there. You have the subjects on the left side, all the subjects that you took. You have each grade, like the number grade, and then you have the letter grade equivalent of that grade. So here you can see that my grade is lacking things like GPA or weight, or the weight of that class, or the weight of that subject. That's because in Nigeria, most schools don't have things like what is the weight of that class, like the weight of the grade, or like the GPA. We don't really have all of that. So if your school somehow, or your education system somehow happens to use things like that, you definitely have to find a way to include that in the transcript. Also, one thing that you definitely need is a legend to help interpret what each grade represents, because that also varies depending on the school and depending on the education system. I think that this legend could be better. They could put a rubric where it says, for example, A ranges from 85 to 100, or A ranges from 90 to 100, because every school is different. So that can kind of help better understand the grade. And then you could have any other thing on the transcript. They could include like honors or whatever, dean's list. Some of those things can go on your transcript, or awards that you've earned. I mean, usually awards kind of go separately, right? Because you have your awards printed out and whatnot, but sometimes they might want to include it on your transcript to show like you got it from the school and this was the year that you got it, and things like that. Overall, at the end, you just kind of have the school official signature and stamp, and just showing that it was issued by the school. And that's it. My transcript was really simple, and I think that's good because it just kind of helps to go there and look for what you need as the person that's reading it. And it's to also show you that your transcript doesn't have to be crazy sophisticated in terms of like how it looks to kind of meet the standard for a US or Canadian school application, or whatever country you're applying to. They understand that every school or every country has different systems, and they're really flexible when it comes to international students. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. If you have any questions concerning transcripts, grades, things like that, just let me know. Put your question in the comment section below, and please make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share. I rarely get to say this. I just put it in the stickers, and I'm like, oh, subscribe and all. But yeah, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, because the same things you want to know, other people want to know too, right? A lot of times. So don't be selfish. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video.